Hello and welcome to the December edition of the collaboration vlog.
Just a reminder that there are other collaborators in this month's playlist and they would really appreciate a view of their video. And you can find the other videos by looking at the links in the description below or looking at the card that we're going to put on the screen over here somewhere.
This month's video topic is how do we incorporate our hobbies with our caravanning, camping, motorhoming. We're going to be telling you about our hobby, mudlarking.
And beachcombing.
Mudlarking. So this can be done on a beach. It can be done in a bottle dump, which is the equivalent of a Victorian rubbish dump landfill. Just wasn't treated the same as today's landfill.
It was a lot more informal, wasn't it? Where you just find
it literally just got tipped at the end of people's gardens, and just built up, and have sunk down in the layers and layers of soil. And then as ground starts eroding, bottles and bits of old rubbish start popping out of the not out of the woodwork, but out of the soil.
Sure. Some folks called bottle diggers like to give the erosion process a bit of a helping hand.
Yeah.
Bottle diggers are just another form of amateur archaeologists, like we like to think of ourselves as being sometimes.
So when you go to a lot of campsites, quite a lot of them are situated by a seaside. If you have a seaside, you have a beach, and it doesn't matter whether it's sand, shingle or pebble, you're always going to find some delights.
It might be a biological find that you find, typically shells, cuttlefish. If you're very lucky, you might come across a fossil. Some of which tens of millions of years old.
Always lots of nice driftwood, and then we like to collect things like sea glass. Sea glass is whereby a bottle at some point has been discarded and has made its way into the sea. Mm-hmm. It's been rolling around in the sea, bumping against the rocks and pebbles for maybe 100 years. The edges have now smoothed off, they're nice and soft, and the glass has got a frosted patina to it.
It's kind of like a natural pebble tumbler.
Yeah. You can do lots of things with sea glass. I like to make jewellery with mine. I've made earrings and necklaces, just to name a couple of things.
If you're very, very lucky, you might find a bit of uranium glass, and that's got the nice thing of glowing under UV. Quite a fun toy for anybody to play with, really, isn't it?
Is that the glass that's got a greeny lime colour?
It does have it looks greeny lime in sunshine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't go and lick sea glass. No.
So going back to bottle dumps, you can find lots of things. Not just bottles, you can find old crockery, lots and lots of blue and white. So what's that called?
Cornish ware.
No.
I was thinking of the blue and white stripes.
No, the other one.
the other blue and white. It's called Chinese pottery.
Yes.
No, it's not, is it?
That's why I asked you, because I can't think of what it's called.
An example of blue and white pottery, I've already mentioned Cornish ware, but you could be looking at some kind of Delft pottery as well. Some of it originated in the Far East and was copied by European artists.
You can find all kinds of bottles, from champagne bottles to beer bottles to pharmacy bottles. You can find little tiny ones that have snap-off lids. So you'll see around the neck of the bottle that it's slightly jagged where it was snapped off to access the medicine that was inside. Some have little lips so that you can pour out the contents.
What do you call it? Milled. Some are milled to make a better fitting kind of stop.
My personal favourites are the ones that have plenty of air bubbles in. They tend to be the older pieces of glass. The glass is quite thick as well. The older glass tends to be thicker.
Quite thick and irregular. Yeah. Sometimes darker as well. Some folks call the glass pirate glass, and that's like it's almost black in colour. You hold it up to the sunlight and you can see through it, often with the little inclusions of bubbles in it.
Another favourite is a poison bottle. So poison bottles come in several different styles, but basically to make sure that you didn't grab the wrong kind of bottle from your store cupboard at night when electricity didn't exist, they could either be a hexagonal shape or they might have had some ridges down the side, so that as you touched it you realised that that was a poison bottle and that wasn't the one that you wanted.
It's not going to quench your thirst in the middle of the night.
No, it's just going to kill you off. We also have torpedo bottles. These were so that the bottles had to be laid down flat.
Yep.
The reason for that was something to do with it being carbonated.
With the carbonation. Yeah. It held the carbonation better if it was stored horizontally.
And also we have cod bottles. So this is a bottle that's been pinched in at the neck and there's a glass marble to keep the contents in until you lift it up. We like finding cod marbles.
Yes.
You can actually make jewellery out of the marbles as well, and they make good necklaces.
Yeah, the bottle doesn't contain any kind of fish. It was named after the inventor, who was somebody or other, cod, double D in the surname.
If you're really lucky and live near or can get to the Thames River, you will have a plethora of history there on the banks of the River Thames for you. Lots of favourite finds there are clay pipes. So let's talk a bit about clay pipes because they're one of my favourite finds.
They go back as far as 16th century, when that famous pirate Walter Raleigh discovered the Americas and brought back tobacco from the New World into the Old World. It was a very fashionable thing to smoke tobacco in those days, but it was really, really expensive. And so what was the typical thing about clay pipes from the 16th century?
So from the 16th century, you'll notice that the bowls are quite small. As you go through the centuries, the bowls increased in size as the cost of tobacco reduced. Finding pipe bowls or pipe stems on any riverbank is the equivalent of finding a cigarette butt today. They were disposable items. A pipe was filled a couple of times, smoked, and then they just threw it over. They just threw it away. It was a disposable item. On some pipes, you're lucky enough to have the maker's name. Sometimes you might have initials, and there are lots of different styles as well throughout the centuries. We like to look at the foot of the pipe to see if there's anything that's depictive there that can help us date the pipe. The Thames isn't a free-for-all, unfortunately. You have to have a licence to go and mudlark on the Thames, and unfortunately mudlarking has become quite popular over the last couple of years, so the number of licences that they'll actually issue have reduced, but that is one of our hopes and bucket list items for the future, is to have a mudlark on the Thames. Yeah,
the system issuing new permits was closed down for a couple of years, so there are no new permits issued for 3, maybe 4 years. The floodgates the floodgates. A trickle has opened up where the permits are now being issued again. So maybe if we're very lucky.
So why do we like mudlarking? Well, I just think it's interesting to find something that you can imagine who was using it, why they used it, where it's been, just the history, and just doing a little bit of research to find out what the history of it is and where it's where some things came from. I just think it's really interesting.
A little bit of amateur archaeology.
So I hope you've enjoyed our little whistle-stop tour of a guide to mudlarking. If you've got any questions about mudlarking, please pop them in the comments below. We're always happy to talk about mudlarking. All that's left to say now is have a happy Christmas and best wishes for...
Happy Christmas and a Merry New Year.
Yep.
Something like that?
Yep, something like that.
And don't forget to watch the other videos in this month's playlist. Again, you'll find the links for that in the description below and in the card that we'll stick over there somewhere.
Bye.
Bye.